Hello everyone, and a warm welcome back to Fluent English. I'm so glad you could join me for another lesson today. We're going to dive into a topic that is relevant pretty much everywhere in the world, although maybe its popularity is fading a bit in places like the United States. That important topic is smoking. You see, the reality is that many countries worldwide are becoming much stricter about smoking regulations and where people are allowed to smoke. This is making things increasingly difficult for smokers these days. But, of course, this also presents a really good reason to want to quit, and quitting smoking is exactly what we'll be focusing on in our discussion today. Before we jump into the main part of our lesson, we have a really important phrase we need to look at in today's vocabulary preview. Let's check it out. Okay, so in our vocabulary preview, we're looking at this phrase, a pack of smokes. A pack of smokes. So, smokes is an informal word, a casual way to say cigarettes. It's a synonym for cigarettes used in everyday conversation. And a pack refers to the standard packaging, the container, which usually holds 20 cigarettes. Essentially, it's a box of cigarettes. You typically buy them by the pack, you don't usually just buy one cigarette at a time. So, one more time, that phrase is, a pack of smokes. A pack of smokes, alright. Now let's listen to a short dialogue to understand what happens with one smoker in a fairly typical situation. Here's the scene happening in our example dialogue. One person says, "Ugh, it smells like an ashtray in here." The other replies, "Hey honey, what's wrong? Why the long face? What's the matter?" The first person again, "I thought we agreed you were going to quit smoking." The response, "No, I said I was going to cut down," which is completely different. You can't just expect me to quit cold turkey overnight. Then comes some advice. Look, there are other ways to quit. You could try the nicotine patch or nicotine gum. We spend an absolute fortune on cigarettes every single month. And now the laws are cracking down and don't allow smoking in any public places anymore. It's not like you can just light up whenever you feel like it, like you used to. The woman justifies herself. I know. I really am trying, but I just don't have the willpower to simply stop. I can't fight the urge to reach for that pack of smokes in the morning with my coffee or after dinner. Please try to understand." And a sharp ending from the man, "Okay, I want a divorce." He then adds quickly, "Sorry, I just had a pack of smo. You're smoking, aren't you? Well, we'll talk about this later." Now, of course, the reaction in the dialogue, demanding a divorce, seems a little extreme, maybe even exaggerated for effect. But it really highlights how strongly some people feel about health and how worried they are about the negative consequences of smoking, because it truly does have many side effects on health. During that tense conversation, quite a few useful words and phrases related to the topic came up. Let's take a closer look at them now in our language takeaway section. Let's begin with the word ashtray. This is an essential item for any smoker who visits a bar or restaurant, or even smokes at home. It's a container, a little dish, where you need to put the cigarette ash. Right? When you smoke, there's ash, that gray, powdery stuff, and maybe the cigarette butt, and you need an ashtray to collect it all. An ashtray is usually something round or square, perhaps made of glass or ceramic, and you place it on a table. It simply helps a lot in keeping a home or a restaurant clean. In a restaurant, you might ask, "Excuse me, could I have an ashtray, please?" The leftover part, the gray dust you get when you smoke, is called ash, right? And this container is a tray. But the complaint here is, it smells like an ashtray in here. This means it smells really, really bad, like old cigarette smoke. So that word again is ashtray. Next up, the man in the dialogue was complaining and said, "Well, I thought you were going to quit smoking." And she replied, No, I said I was going to cut down." She insists that this is very different from quitting smoking altogether. So, perhaps we should talk about the difference between cut down and quit? Okay, so if I say, "I'm going to cut down on smoking," it simply means I will smoke less than before. Okay. Let's take an example. Maybe I usually smoke 10 cigarettes a day, but I want to cut down. How many might I smoke later? Perhaps only 2 or 3. 2 or 3 instead of stopping completely. So if you quit smoking, that would mean 0. 0 cigarettes. No more smoking at all, right? Okay. So, you can also cut down on things like carbs, carbohydrates, for example. Some people who cut down on carbs eat less bread, or they avoid pasta. So, these are really useful ways to talk about dieting, as well as smoking, correct? We have a couple of examples of other ways we can use this phrase cut down. Let's listen to them now. Example 1, our company decided to cut down on our workload. So from now on, we leave at 3 p.m. every Friday. Example 2, you really should cut down on the amount of salt you eat. It's not healthy for you. Example 3, my doctor told me I need to cut down on fatty foods because of my heart condition. And when you want to smoke a cigarette, you first need to do something involving fire. We call this lighting up. Lighting up. So, lighting up here doesn't mean turning on the lights in a room. It actually means using a lighter, or matches, or some kind of flame to start the cigarette burning, right? You want to light up using a lighter, matches, or some fire source. The man, the husband, says, it's not like you can just light up like you used to. This means it's not something you can just do, smoke, as freely as before. So, in some contexts, light up simply means to have a cigarette. For instance, if we are in a movie theater, and someone lights up a cigarette, I might say, "Oh, you can't light up in here, right?" Meaning, you are not allowed to smoke here. It's another way to say to smoke. 𝐂𝐬𝐴𝐻 very good, and she was explaining, how difficult it is, and she's trying to quit, but she said, I don't have the willpower to just stop. Ooh, willpower. Now that's an important word, willpower. Think about the main part of that word, will, which means the desire or intention to do something. You want to do something. So if I have willpower, if I have strong willpower, what am I saying? You're saying that you can make a decision and you can stick to your decision. You have the self-control. So, I decide not to eat cake. I have very strong willpower, so I never eat cake. If I don't have strong willpower, maybe sometimes I secretly eat cake in the middle of the night from my fridge. So, that happens, right? Sometimes you don't have strong enough willpower, so you kind of sneak a little bit of cake when nobody's looking. Exactly. And you can have willpower regarding many different things. So it's a great word to use when you're talking about dieting or smoking, or drinking alcohol, any type of, perhaps, temptation. Precisely, okay. And, well, she said she had this urge to reach for a pack of smokes. Ooh, urge is another good word. It's closely related to willpower, but an urge is more like a strong physical or mental feeling that pushes you to want to do something. So you have this powerful desire. 𝐂𝐬𝐴𝐻. So, I have an urge to go swimming today. I don't know why, but I really want to. Okay, you have an urge. It's an interesting word. Pregnant women often experience these kinds of things too. I have an urge to do something. We also sometimes call them cravings. Oh, cravings or an urge to do something. Okay, interesting. So we've covered those 5 excellent words, and I think we should mentally replay our dialogue one more time, now that we understand the vocabulary better. We can slow it down in our minds. And then we'll come back and talk some more. Ugh, smells like an ashtray. Hey honey, what's wrong? I thought we agreed you were going to quit. No, I said I was going to cut down. You can't expect me to go cold turkey overnight. Look, there are other ways. We spend a fortune. Laws are cracking down. It's not like you can just light up. I know. I don't have the willpower. I can't fight the urge to reach for that pack of smokes. Please understand. Okay, I want a divorce. And we're back. So, now we come to a great part of our show where we love to talk about some phrases that help you achieve fluency, meaning sounding more like a native English speaker. And today's phrases are wonderful. Alright, so let's take a look at them now in Fluency Builder. So, in Fluency Builder today, let's look at 2 different phrases. And let's start with the first one. She mentioned something about going cold turkey overnight. What is this phrase, go cold turkey? Now, this is a very strange sounding phrase, okay? First, why would a turkey be cold? They have lots of feathers. And second, what does it have to do with cigarettes, right? So if I say, I'm going cold turkey, what is that? Well, just accept it as a set phrase. Don't think too much about the individual words because they won't make literal sense in this context. What we're talking about is stopping smoking completely and suddenly. It means you're not going to cut down. It means starting today I will not smoke at all, and I will never smoke again. It signifies that I will never, ever have another cigarette. That's going cold turkey. If I go cold turkey, it means I stop doing something immediately, abruptly, and completely, usually something habitual or addictive. Okay. So you can use this phrase for different habits, different things you do, like maybe drinking alcohol or cutting out sugar. But commonly, we use it most often when talking about cigarettes. So it's primarily associated with quitting smoking. Yes. So, go cold turkey. Some people prefer to smoke less and less, like 1 cigarette a day or 1 a week, but going cold turkey is generally considered the hardest way, right? Okay. Go cold turkey, alright. And, well, he was explaining the various negative aspects of smoking. He said, well, we spend a fortune on cigarettes every month. And he also said, the laws are cracking down. So if the laws are cracking down, what is he trying to say? Well, this is actually a very interesting point because, certainly in America right now, it's very difficult to smoke in public places. So this means the government or authorities are trying hard to stop people from smoking, or to control a certain activity more strictly. They're saying, no more smoking in public buildings. No more smoking in restaurants. No more smoking in bars. And so, this means they are cracking down. They are making something more difficult by enforcing rules more strictly. So they are becoming stricter, more severe in enforcement. 𝐿. I think for this phrase, we should listen to a couple more examples, just to make sure we understand it clearly. Example 1. The police are cracking down on drunk driving in our city. Example 2. Our school has really started cracking down on students being late. Example 3. The president passed a law that will crack down on the possession of illegal substances. Okay. So the government is cracking down, the laws are cracking down. Yes, exactly. So this is important because you often read about this in the news as well, regarding new laws and police actions. Okay, excellent. So, we've looked at both vocabulary and useful idioms from our dialogue. Let's now reflect a little on this habit, this vice, as it's sometimes called. Do you have a problem with this particular vice? Are you a smoker? Some people are social smokers, meaning they only smoke in company. For example, if they go out to a bar for drinks. Yes, those are called social smokers, right? I almost envy those who can control it so easily. Others, however, are habitual smokers. Right. Well, I used to be like that. I'm trying to cut down myself. As a habitual smoker, I often smoked every day. Sometimes a lot, sometimes less. But right now, I'm in a period where I've mostly quit. Okay, almost. Yeah. Well, I haven't smoked for a while, and when I do, it tends to be just 1 cigarette. Now, this is interesting because, as we mentioned, laws are getting stricter about where you can smoke, but also taxes are increasing, making cigarettes much, much more expensive, right? Absolutely. Especially where I'm originally from, in Chicago. It's easy to spend maybe $10 or even $12 on just 1 pack of smokes. On 1 pack, imagine that. And yet, there are people who find it hard not to smoke 1 or even 2 packs a day. So how much does that add up to in a month? It's just an astonishing amount of money. Well, and I have to say, though, that many of my friends back in America who used to smoke have actually quit. So perhaps it's working, this whole strategy of making cigarettes less affordable. Yes, making them significantly more expensive seems to have an impact. Now, another interesting thing I read about recently is that, those warnings they print on cigarette packs, saying things like, smoking kills or smoking causes cancer? Apparently, some research suggests they might not be very effective, that people either don't pay attention or aren't really bothered by the warnings on the cigarette packs anymore. Well, as someone who has smoked, I can say that, yes, typically, if you're going to have a cigarette, you don't look at the label that closely. You just, toss it in your bag and forget about it. But apparently, it's actually gotten to the point where some people choose which pack of cigarettes to buy based on the graphic picture. So it's like, oh, yeah, give me the one with the black lungs, or give me that one. Oh my goodness. Yes, that's quite fascinating. So it seems that strategy isn't really working as intended, I suppose. We might have to find other ways to make people more aware of this particular vice. We should indeed. Let's now delve a bit deeper into the core subject of smoking, what it actually is, how it works, why people start in the first place, and what the consequences are. Smoking is a habit that many people around the world have. Some people smoke every day, while others might only smoke occasionally. There are also people who try smoking just once and then never do it again. But what exactly is smoking? How does it work? What happens inside the body when someone smokes? In this section, we will discuss smoking in more detail. Smoking has been around for hundreds of years. In the past, people often smoked tobacco using pipes and cigars. Today, most people who smoke use cigarettes. Some people also use electronic cigarettes, often called e-cigarettes or vapes. These are different from regular cigarettes but still usually contain nicotine, the addictive substance. So, what does smoking mean? Smoking involves burning a substance and then inhaling, or breathing in, the smoke into the lungs. The most common substance that people smoke is tobacco. Tobacco comes from a plant, the leaves are dried and then often rolled into cigarettes. When a person lights a cigarette, the tobacco burns, and they inhale the resulting smoke. When people smoke, they breathe in many different chemicals. Some of these chemicals can be very harmful to the body. Smoking doesn't just affect the person smoking, either. It can also affect the people around them. The smoke from a cigarette spreads into the air, and other people nearby can breathe it in. This is known as passive smoking or secondhand smoke. There are several different ways that people smoke. The most common method is using cigarettes. A cigarette is a small roll of finely cut tobacco wrapped in thin paper. A person lights one end and inhales the smoke from the other end. Some people also use cigars. A cigar is larger and thicker than a cigarette. It contains more tobacco and usually produces more smoke. Some people view cigars as more luxurious or special, so they might smoke them only on special occasions. Another way to smoke is by using a pipe. In the past, many people used pipes to smoke tobacco. Loose tobacco is placed in the bowl of the pipe, and the person inhales the smoke through the stem. Today, pipes are less common, but some people still enjoy using them. Some individuals also use hookahs or shishas. A hookah is a type of water pipe used to smoke flavored tobacco. It's popular in some cultures, and people often smoke it socially in groups. However, smoking hookah can be just as harmful as smoking cigarettes. In recent years, electronic cigarettes, e-cigarettes, or vapes have become more popular. These devices don't burn tobacco. Instead, they heat a liquid, often containing nicotine and flavorings, which turns into an aerosol or vapor. People inhale this vapor much like they would inhale cigarette smoke. Many people think vaping is safer than smoking traditional cigarettes, but it still contains nicotine and other potentially harmful chemicals, and its long-term effects are still being studied. What happens when a person smokes? When a person smokes a cigarette, the smoke enters their lungs. From the lungs, the chemicals in the smoke quickly pass into the bloodstream. This means the chemicals travel throughout the entire body. Nicotine, the highly addictive substance in tobacco, reaches the brain within seconds. It makes the person feel calm or happy for a short period. However, this feeling doesn't last long. After a little while, the person feels the need to smoke again. This is why smoking is so addictive. The more a person smokes, the more their body gets used to the nicotine. If they try to stop smoking, they might feel uncomfortable, anxious, or stressed. This is called nicotine withdrawal. Many people find it extremely difficult to quit smoking because of these withdrawal symptoms. Does smoking only affect the smoker? Many people might think that smoking only affects the person doing the smoking. But that's not true. Smoking can also harm the people around the smoker. When someone smokes, the smoke they exhale, plus the smoke from the burning end of the cigarette, goes into the air. If another person breathes in this smoke, it can also harm their health. This is called secondhand smoke or passive smoking. Secondhand smoke can be especially dangerous for babies, children, pregnant women, and the elderly. Even if a person doesn't smoke themselves, breathing in smoke from others can still cause serious health problems over time. Why do people start smoking? Smoking is a habit that millions of people worldwide pick up at some point in their lives. Some people start smoking when they are young, perhaps as teenagers, while others begin later in life. Even though most people are aware that smoking is harmful, many still decide to start. It's interesting to understand what leads people to pick up that first cigarette and why they continue. There are many different influences that encourage people to smoke. Sometimes it's because of the environment they live in, the people they spend time with, or the situations they face. The first time a person smokes often isn't because they truly want to, but maybe because of a moment, a situation, or a feeling that pushes them to try it. One of the most common reasons a person smokes for the first time is peer influence or fitting in with their social circle. If someone grows up in a home where family members smoke, they might see it as a normal activity. They watch their parents, older siblings, or relatives lighting up cigarettes every day, and after a while, it doesn't seem strange or bad. It becomes something commonplace, like drinking tea or having meals. As they get older, they might feel that smoking is just another part of adult life, and they don't question it. Sometimes, friends play a huge role in influencing a person to start smoking. If someone is in a group where most people smoke, they might feel pressured to join in. Nobody wants to feel left out or different, so they might accept a cigarette just to fit in. They might not even like the taste or the feeling of smoking at first, but they continue because it helps them feel included. Over time, what started as an occasional activity to belong can become a regular habit and, eventually, an addiction. Media and advertising have also played a part in encouraging people to smoke, especially in the past. Old movies, TV shows, and magazines often showed famous actors, musicians, or models smoking. These people often looked cool, confident, and sophisticated. Many young people believed that smoking was a sign of being grown up and independent. When they saw their favorite celebrity smoking, they might have thought it made them look strong or interesting. Even today, although cigarette advertising is banned in many countries, people still see characters smoking in films or on TV, which can sometimes make it seem exciting or glamorous. Another reason people start smoking is the belief that it helps them manage stress. Life can be challenging, and everyone faces problems. Some people go through difficult times at work, at school, or in their personal lives. When they see others smoking to relax, they might think it could help them too. After smoking, they might feel a brief sense of calm, but this feeling is only temporary. In reality, smoking doesn't truly relieve stress, it only creates a cycle where the person feels they need to smoke more just to feel okay again. Due to nicotine addiction, curiosity also leads many people to try smoking. Sometimes, a person simply wonders what it feels like to smoke. They see other people doing it and start thinking, what does it taste like? How does it make people feel? This curiosity can be strong enough to make them pick up a cigarette and try it just once. However, for many, that one cigarette turns into another, and soon they find themselves smoking regularly. Some people start smoking because they believe it will help them lose weight or control their appetite. There's a common misconception that smoking reduces feelings of hunger, causing people to eat less. For some, this seems like an easy way to stay slim. They think that instead of having a snack, they can just have a cigarette. While it might be true that nicotine can affect appetite slightly, it's definitely not a healthy way to manage weight. Smoking harms the body in numerous other ways and can lead to serious health problems that far outweigh any perceived benefit for weight control. In some cultures and societies, smoking is linked to traditions or social events. In certain places, people might smoke when they meet friends, during celebrations, or even when discussing important matters. Some communities might see offering or sharing cigarettes as a sign of respect or hospitality. If a person grows up in such an environment, they might feel that smoking is just a natural part of social life. They might not even think about whether it's good or bad, they just accept it as something people do. There are also individuals who start smoking because they think it helps them concentrate. Some students or professionals believe that smoking makes them feel more focused, especially when studying for exams or working on important projects. They might see older students or colleagues smoking during breaks and assume it improves their ability to think clearly. This belief might lead them to try smoking, hoping it will give them the same perceived advantage. In some cases, people start smoking because they want to rebel. They want to feel independent or go against the rules set by parents, teachers, or society. Teenagers, in particular, often feel the need to prove they can make their own choices. If smoking is seen as something forbidden or adult, it becomes even more tempting. They light up a cigarette partly to show that they are in control of their own lives. Unfortunately, what begins as an act of rebellion can quickly become a habit that's hard to break. Many people don't think about the long-term consequences of smoking when they start. They often assume they can quit anytime they want. They believe having just a few cigarettes won't cause any real harm. However, over time, their body gets used to the nicotine, and quitting becomes much more difficult than they ever imagined. What started as a casual choice turns into a daily routine. Before they realize it, they've become addicted. It's crucial to understand that smoking offers no real benefits. The things that might push people to start, fitting in, curiosity, stress relief, or rebellion, are mostly based on temporary feelings or misconceptions. The risks and dangers of smoking, however, are very real and long-lasting. Once someone starts smoking, it can be incredibly challenging to stop. The consequences of smoking isn't just a simple habit. It's something that deeply affects the body, the mind, and even the people around the smoker. When a person starts smoking, they might not notice the effects right away. At first, smoking might seem like a small activity that helps them relax or fit in with friends. However, over time, smoking begins to change many things in their life. It impacts their health, their relationships, their daily activities, and even the environment. The effects of smoking can be divided into different areas. The most serious impact is on health. Every time a person smokes, harmful chemicals enter their body. These chemicals affect different parts of the body in various ways. The lungs, the heart, and even the skin start to change. Breathing can become more difficult, and the body generally becomes weaker. Many smokers experience symptoms like coughing more often, feeling short of breath, and getting tired easily. These are often just the early signs. As time goes on, much more serious health problems can develop, including various types of cancer, especially lung cancer, heart disease, stroke, and respiratory diseases like emphysema and chronic bronchitis. The lungs are usually among the first organs to suffer. A healthy person breathes easily, and their lungs work smoothly. But smoking damages the lungs, making breathing much harder. Smokers often find themselves out of breath after simple activities like walking upstairs or even just walking quickly. They also tend to cough more as their lungs try to clear out the harmful tar and chemicals from the cigarettes. Over time, these problems can lead to severe and life-threatening lung diseases. The heart is another major organ badly affected by smoking. A strong heart is essential for a healthy life, but smoking weakens it significantly. The chemicals in cigarettes make the heart work harder and damage blood vessels, increasing the risk of heart disease dramatically. Smokers are much more likely to suffer from high blood pressure, heart attacks, strokes, and other cardiovascular problems. Even young smokers can start developing heart-related issues if they continue smoking over a long period. Smoking also affects the skin. Many people don't realize this, but cigarettes can change how a person looks. Smokers often develop wrinkles earlier than non-smokers. Their skin can become dull, dry, and lose its natural healthy glow. This happens because smoking reduces the amount of oxygen that reaches the skin and damages collagen and elastin, the fibers that keep skin firm. As a result, smokers may look older than they actually are. Another significant consequence of smoking is its effect on the immune system. The immune system is the body's defense against illness. A strong immune system fights off infections and helps the body heal quickly. However, smoking weakens this vital defense system. Smokers tend to get sick more often and take longer to recover from common illnesses like colds and the flu. Wounds and cuts may also heal more slowly because smoking reduces blood flow. The negative effects of smoking are not limited to the person who smokes. People around smokers also suffer, even if they don't smoke themselves. This is the danger of secondhand smoke. When someone smokes, the smoke spreads into the air. Family members, friends, coworkers, and even strangers nearby inhale the smoke, which can seriously harm their health too. Babies, children, and the elderly are particularly vulnerable. Pregnant women who smoke or are exposed to secondhand smoke can harm their unborn babies. Smoking during pregnancy increases the chances of health problems for the child, such as low birth weight, premature birth, or breathing difficulties. Even after birth, babies living in a home with a smoker are more likely to develop health issues like asthma, ear infections, and frequent colds. The environment also suffers because of smoking. Cigarette smoke pollutes the air with harmful chemicals. Furthermore, cigarette butts, the leftover ends, create a huge litter problem. Many smokers carelessly toss their cigarette butts onto the ground, in parks, or on streets. These small pieces of waste take years to decompose and often end up polluting rivers, lakes, and oceans. They harm wildlife and the environment. Tragically, forest fires are sometimes started by people carelessly discarding lit cigarettes. Smoking affects more than just health and the environment, it also has significant financial consequences. Cigarettes are expensive. Many smokers spend a substantial amount of money on cigarettes every month, or even every week. If a person smokes for many years, they end up spending thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars on cigarettes. This money could have been used for much better things: buying healthy food, traveling, pursuing education, saving for the future, or supporting their families. Many smokers realize too late that smoking has taken a lot from them, not just their health, but also their hard-earned money. Smoking can also impact personal and social relationships. Many non-smokers dislike being around smokers because of the smell of cigarettes. The odor clings to clothes, hair, and even inside homes and cars. Some people find this unpleasant, and it can create distance in relationships. Smokers might also find it difficult to be in places where smoking is not allowed, such as restaurants, offices, or public transport. This can limit their activities and make them feel excluded or uncomfortable in social situations. For those who have smoked for a long time, quitting can seem incredibly daunting. However, the great news is that many people do successfully quit smoking and significantly improve their lives. The body starts to repair itself almost immediately after a person stops smoking. Breathing becomes easier, energy levels often increase, and the risk of developing serious diseases begins to decrease. Skin can start to look healthier, and the senses of taste and smell usually improve. The money saved from not buying cigarettes can be used for more positive things. Quitting smoking isn't easy, but it is absolutely possible with determination and support. Many people find it helpful to set a quit date, seek support from family and friends, or use aids like nicotine patches, gum, or counseling. Some people quit abruptly, go cold turkey, while others reduce their smoking gradually. Every small step taken towards quitting smoking is a step towards a healthier, better life. In conclusion, smoking impacts nearly every aspect of a person's life: their health, their relationships, their finances, and the environment around them. While it might start as what seems like a minor habit, its long-term consequences are serious and far-reaching. Many people regret ever starting to smoke, but the encouraging message is that it's never too late to quit. Every person has the power within them to make the choice for a healthier future. Understanding the full consequences of smoking helps people make better decisions for themselves and encourages others to support those trying to quit. For English learners like you, reading and discussing topics like this also helps improve language skills while learning about important global issues. Smoking presents a significant challenge, but with knowledge, effort, and support, anyone can overcome it. And to finish our lesson today, let's review the key vocabulary from Fluent English. I'll give you the meaning, and you try to recall the vocabulary word. An informal term for a cigarette, stogie. Note, smoke is more common, a receptacle for tobacco ash and cigarette butts, ashtray. The end of a cigarette that contains the filter and is put in the mouth for smoking. Butt, to reduce the amount of something consumed or used. Cut down, a sticky brown substance that forms when tobacco burns. It collects in smokers' lungs and is considered carcinogenic. Tar, stopping something abruptly and completely. Go cold turkey. A mechanical device used to light a cigarette, cigar, or pipe. Lighter, a patch that slowly releases nicotine into the body through the skin. Nicotine patch, a thin strip of wood or cardboard tipped with a chemical that ignites when rubbed against a rough or specially prepared surface. Match, gum that slowly releases nicotine into the body when chewed. Nicotine chewing gum, a single inhalation of smoke from a cigarette. Puff, to take a draw from a shared cigarette. Drag, also means a puff. To act more forcefully to regulate or suppress something. Crack down, to begin smoking a cigarette by lighting it. Light up, the strength of mind to carry out a decision. Willpower, a strong impulse, inner drive, or longing. Urge, a box or container of cigarettes. Pack of smokes, let's try that a bit faster. A receptacle for tobacco ash and cigarette butts. Ashtray, an informal term for a cigarette. Stogie/smoke, to begin smoking a cigarette by lighting it. Light up, a strong impulse, inner drive or longing. Urge, a box or container of cigarettes. Pack of smokes, a sticky brown substance that forms when tobacco burns. Tar, the strength of mind to carry out a decision. Willpower, the end of a cigarette that contains the filter. Butt, stopping something abruptly and completely. Go cold turkey, a patch that slowly releases nicotine. Nicotine patch, to reduce the amount of something consumed or used. Cut down, a single inhalation of smoke from a cigarette. Puff, to take a draw from a shared cigarette. Drag, a thin strip of wood or cardboard tipped with a chemical. Match, a mechanical device used to light a cigarette. Lighter, to act more forcefully to regulate or suppress something. Crack down, gum that slowly releases nicotine. Nicotine chewing gum. Now, say the word and hear it used in a sentence. Crack down. The police are cracking down on drunk driving in our city. Crack down. The president passed a law that will crack down on the possession of illegal substances. Crack down. Our school has really started cracking down on students being late. Cut down. You really should cut down on the amount of salt you eat. It's not healthy for you. Cut down. Our company decided to cut down on our workload. So from now on, we leave at 3 p.m. every Friday. Cut down. My doctor told me I need to cut down on fatty foods because of my heart condition. Light up. Honey, you can't light up in here. We're in a non-smoking area. Light up. John is addicted to smoking. Anytime and any place he gets a chance, he immediately lights up. Light up. The government is making it harder to light up with all these anti-smoking laws. Willpower. I don't have the willpower to stick to a diet. It's so difficult. Willpower. Katie is a workaholic. She needs to find more willpower and refuse to work overtime. Willpower. Willpower and discipline are necessary for anyone who wants to succeed in life. Urge. I was so angry with him, I felt a sudden urge to hit him. Urge. Last night, my wife had an uncontrollable urge to smoke every hour. It was strange. Urge. When Carol was pregnant, she once had an urge to eat a bacon and tuna sandwich. It was disgusting. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. I really hope you found it helpful and learned something new today. Remember to subscribe so you never miss an episode. I'll see you next time here on Fluent English. Bye for now.